Good morning, Hojo staff, students, and families. Ya'ateh Ben, we're ready to start our day. So everybody please stand. Place your right hand over your heart. Eyes are on the flag. Voices are off. Bodies are still. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. Good morning, everyone. Today is Tuesday, October 6th. And we're ready to start the day with some music. New music this week from Mrs. Neff she has posted it for us on our playlist on the Hojo channel on YouTube. So let's listen. Okay, friends, what were we listening to? Carnival of the Animals, The Aquarium by Camille Saint-Saëns, right? We've also heard the Carnival of the Animals, The Swan by Camille Saint-Saëns. Now we have The Aquarium. If you were going to write some music or play some music that sounded like an aquarium, what would you have done? Would you have had similar, the sounds of the piano, maybe like little bubbles, the sounds of the strings, like the movement of the water or the movement of the fish through the water? How would you have done it? We see how Camille Saint-Saëns did it. That's what he thinks. All right, let's go back to our very first day at school. Tell me what we're listening to. What are we listening to? Persian Suite No. 1, Morning by Edvard Grieg. Right. Also a very soft sound, right? When we're waking up and the sun's coming up, that's how Edvard Grieg thought it sounded like in the morning. It's very different than other songs that we have listened to. For example, very different from this one. Right? Very different sound. That was Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. Right. Okay, so for our poem today, or for this week, who's our poet that we are talking about? Emily Dickinson. And you may remember last year I told you a little bit about Emily Dickinson, who grew up in New England, not far from where I grew up. And she lived with her family. And do you know, she hardly ever came out of the house. She would go into the yard or stay in her house. She never went anywhere or did anything. She was what some people call a recluse, where she just stayed at home all the time. So we said it's a perfect poem then for somebody who is going through a pandemic, because she lived like she was in the pandemic even when she didn't have to. So it's interesting why somebody would do that, don't you think? It's sort of interesting to figure out why she did not want to come out and meet with other people. But because she was home and she was in her garden, she noticed a lot of things in her garden that we would probably just keep walking because we're so busy trying to get to the next place that we have to go. But she would just stop and look at things and just poem after poem after poem about leaves and flowers and things in the yard that she noticed. And so maybe it's a lesson to us to kind of slow down and take a look around us. Because she talks about this little creature that she sees in her backyard. And do you remember what it was that she saw? A snake. So this poem she wrote about a snake she sees in the backyard. And she calls the poem A Narrow Fellow in the Grass. A narrow fellow in the grass occasionally rides. You may have met him, did you not? His notice instant is. The grass divides as with a comb. A spotted shaft is seen, and then closes at your feet and opens further on. He likes a boggy acre, a floor too cool for corn. But when a boy am barefoot, I more than once at noon have passed, I thought, a whiplash unbraiding in the sun. When stooping to secure it, it wrinkled and was gone. Several of nature's people I know, and they know me. I feel for them a transport of cordiality. But never met this fellow, attended or alone, without a tighter breathing and zero to the bone. Have you ever done that outside? Have you ever thought there was a piece of rope in the yard and you went down to pick it up and it took off? And you're like, startled, right? That's how she's writing this poem about this snake in the grass that she sees and all her experiences with snakes and how she sees other things in nature, birds and butterflies and what have you. But the only one that makes her startled like that is the snake in the grass. Narrow fellow in the grass. Okay, so for some art this week, oh boy, did I not put the picture here? Let's see. So art this week, we have been talking about George Seurat, right? And we talked about this picture that we have hanging up in our school. Do you remember the title of it? It's a long title. A Sunday Afternoon on the Island of La Grande Jatte, right? George Seurat. And do you remember the style that we said this was? This is pointillism, these tiny, tiny little dots. Imagine putting all these little dots together and making this picture. George Seurat, Sunday Afternoon on the Island of La Grande Jatte. All right, we also have some other French artists who painted this. Renoir, right? Renoir. And the name of this one is Two Sisters, right? And the style was Impressionism, right? Using watercolors, impression to give an impression of a picture. And we have somebody in the United States did a similar style. That's Mary Cassatt, Young Mother Sewing. Do you remember this? Mary Cassatt. Remember we also have the one Children Playing on the Beach by Mary Cassatt. Very different style, but around the same time is Winslow Homer, Nor'easter. Very different style. Also not too off from the time frame is Emanuel Lewitz's Washington Crossing the Delaware. And long, long ago, we have Leonardo da Vinci, Vitruvian Man. That's right. Okay, art, music, poetry, architecture. So, this is the White House, front and back. Our president is back there in the executive branch today, healing from coronavirus, thankfully. We have the U.S. Supreme Court building, that's right, where our justices meet in the highest court of the land, U.S. Supreme Court, for which branch? Judicial branch of our government. So we have executive, judicial, what's the next branch? Legislative. This is where they meet. What's the name of this building? U.S. Capitol Building. That's right, where they make the laws based on the U.S. Constitution. That's right. And we have the U.S. Constitution that outlines the government and how it was supposed to run, 1787. September 17th, that was finally put together. However, not all the states wanted to ratify it because it didn't protect individual people's rights. So what happened? James Madison, our fourth president, who at the time was not our fourth president, obviously, because this is 1787. This is just before Washington takes over as our first president. So he would have been a president once that his time had come, but this is before he became president. James Madison wrote the Bill of Rights, and that's the first, how many amendments? The first 10, that's right. Okay, so let's say the First Amendment together. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble, and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. That's right, First Amendment. Second Amendment, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Right. Let's do the first one together again. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble, and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Second Amendment, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Right. I hope you're learning those and saying them along with me. So we'll go on to the Third Amendment here. I'm going to listen today to see when the announcements are being played at school. I want to see who's memorizing these amendments, and maybe we can have that class be the first one, the next one, to lead the whole school in announcements. Okay, friends, we do have one birthday today. Kazzy's having a birthday. Happy birthday, Kazzy. Hope you have a great day, sir. And let's see, announcements. This is the last week of the first quarter. So we are going to be wrapping up the first quarter. Make sure you reach out to your teacher if you are missing some assignments, or if you need some help with something, or if you're behind. Make sure you just stay in touch with your teacher. For this quarter, the grades are going to be pass, not pass, and incomplete. So in order to move on to the next grade level, we can't have a lot of incompletes. We can have a few in there if it's, if you don't have time to get to PE, if you didn't have time to get to something, it's okay. We'll try better next quarter. But your literacy and math, we should have a pass in that in order to move on to the next grade. So make sure you're doing enough of your work in your math and your literacy class to make sure that we know how you're doing and that you're ready to move on to the next grade level when that time comes. Yes, that's all we have for announcements today. So let's do our student pledge. I will do the good, I will learn the true, and I will love the beautiful. And I hope you have a great day today.